So you know that H Bomber guy video that blew up and got like 10 million views in no time at all, and everyone has watched it, and it was amazing, and I'll rewatch it at some point because H Bomber guy videos are really good, and he's basically the best that the left YouTube has to offer these days. Not just these days, ever. I don't know, man. H Bomber guy is really good. Yeah, not to suck too hard or anything. It's just, it's just good videos, you know. Also, little coincidence, basically the only large left-leaning breadtube or breadtube adjacent figure who hasn't been randomly mean to me. So that's nice. So he went after James Somerton, the pretentious queer film art guy who turns out was stealing everything and lying and blah, blah, blah. You've all seen the video. I'm not going to reiterate everything. James Somerton put out an apology video. And then he deleted it. So, yeah. There are people who have downloaded it. I was not one of those people. I could find it. It's been re-uploaded. If I wanted to find it, I could. I'm not going to because it's boring and weepy and annoying. And if you can imagine the way a, like, dishonest narcissist would make an apology video after they'd been caught in a career-ruining mistake, that's pretty much exactly how it sounds, you know? It's... So, he put it up, and then, as Lady Emily has said, Sarah Z's editor, he reactivated his Patreon, quote, so people could take down or remove their Patreon pledges. Now, I don't use Patreon despite having one. Like, my Patreon has sat abandoned for a long time. While people continue to contribute to it, by the way. Thanks for that. So, you know, never knew what to do with that thing after I transitioned entirely to live streaming. Yeah, passive income, boys. That's how you build your value as an individual. Okay? Anyway, presumably he just wanted to continue making money. I mean, look, over 3,000 members to his Patreon, 3,600. Even if every one of those was at what, like the lowest tier? $2, $5, what, $10? If you average this out to $5, this is like a $200K a year income, you know? So his Patreon members have been plummeting, like plummeting massively. You know, because his career is unsalvageable. It seems to me like his apology video was like a really ill-advised attempt to cobble back some sympathy attention that immediately didn't work. The dislike ratio on that video was insane and like immediate. I saw it less than an hour after it came out, and it was like all people hating on him in the replies, which was very warranted too. The video actually opens, I'm not kidding, the very first information that he offers in the video, like before anything else, is that he's been in the hospital. The implication being that he's been on suicide watch or has attempted suicide or whatever else, which is a phenomenal way to open your apology video when you've been unambiguously in the wrong continuously for multiple years. Yeah, there's no way for me to tear into this without sounding a little bit, I guess, callous, which I'm fine doing because I am callous, at least with regards to stuff like this. You know, boo-hoo. I understand his upsetness at, you know, losing his career and tanking everything, but all of this is his fault. Again, this wasn't like one little mistake. This was like years and years of... The main thing that he did that got me wasn't the plagiarizing, by the way, because maybe he's a dishonest hack, you know? Okay, all right, dishonest hack, you know... All right, those people exist. The main thing for me was that, you remember the bit from H-Bomb's video where somebody did accuse him of stealing content, you know? And his response was to go and say that he had been threatened and doxxed by like he did that weepy video on how he had to like gun down and protect his own life because somebody was gunning after him. And the only thing the person did was point out that he had stolen material, that he had plagiarized. So his response to being called out before was to weaponize his audience with this same weepy, cry-bully, I fear for my life shit, which is like picture-perfect, you know, narcissistic, malicious dishonesty. I don't think being a grifter is the worst thing in the world. There are lots of things worse than being a grifter. You could be Adolf Hitler. That's worse, you know? Was Adolf Hitler a grifter? No, I think he committed to the bit, you know, but he was other worse things. I think he committed to that bit, so thus made evident, you know, there are things worse than being a grifter, right? But that, like, that weepy, that weepy, like, oh, you have found out my crimes, so I was in the hospital, I've tried to kill myself, boo-hoo, look at me. No respect for this. You know, James Somerton can never return to YouTube. And I say that, I know some people are going to be curious about this, because I'm very pro-reform. I'll be the first to argue, and I have been the first to argue, that, you know, if you're like a far right content creator, if you demonstrate that you've changed, I think that should be observed and cared for. You know, I think that's valid. I think you're valid. You know, I don't like the idea of getting rid of the concept of reformism entirely, as, you know, as people are concerned, reformative or restorative justice or whatever. I think that if people can demonstrate they've changed positively, then that's something to take into account. Maybe you don't trust them ever again. That's fine. But there's, you know, you don't irrevocably write yourself off. Except there is an exception to this, I feel, and it doesn't have so much to do with like the utilitarian harm you've done as it has to do with your character. And I think it's if you're a malicious liar, because you can be a very bad person without being a malicious liar. It's possible to be sincere and bad, which I respect a lot more than being insincere and bad. If you're a malicious liar, you've basically indicated that no one can ever trust you again. Now, I will say, if Somerton had come out with a video where he was like, hey, this is like a 5-hour apology video. I have been a goober, and here's everything I did wrong, and I'm going to work to regain your trust. Okay. You know? Okay, right? I mean, that's something. But it was a 30-minute weepy bullshit video where he doesn't even explain what he did wrong and all, you know, oh, woo is me, blah, blah. You can watch it, re-upload it somewhere if you want. I don't care to. It's stupid. He took it down again anyway. Here, wait, I think I have a clip that Thana posted, which you can get the entire vibe of the video, like from here, you know? Pretty much no...
I do want to keep making videos, and I know a lot of you won't watch them, and that's fine. But I really liked making videos.
Yeah. I've been accused in my personal life of being callous about stuff like this before, but, you know, one thing that I had to get out of the mindset of growing up is the idea that when people in a relationship with you cry when they're upset, they're not trying to manipulate you. See, I'm a man. I've got giant, fat, milky balls. My brain is huge. I'm very logical. I have no emotions. Every decision I make is the perfect one. I am a computer. So if a person cries, it's a sinister effort to manipulate me, okay? Now, my giant brain took a bit to wrap around the idea that maybe sometimes people cry because they're sad. But I think sometimes people take that too far and they think that all crying is sincere, or all expressions of emotion are like defensible and sincere, like, you know, they can't help it or whatever. You are recording a video. You're pre-recording a video. This isn't live. Crying on live is one thing. You are recording a video. You don't have to have the video be like this, you know. You can retake it as many times as you want. It's not like, you know, you are choosing to present yourself in this way. And when you present yourself in this way, the only thing you're trying to elicit really is pity. Maybe this was a retake. And keep retaking, you know. The crying was chosen deliberately, if not in its performance immediately, then in the decision to keep it in the video. You know, that it's consistent, you know, trying to milk sympathy, because sympathy is the only thing really that he's going to be able to get at this point. Did you see Dan Olson cook him in the comments? Yeah, I saw. Neither Dan Olson, who I love, nor H Bomber Guy, who I love, both of whom are, listen, okay, how many edgy jokes have you heard from H Bomber, Dan Olson? How many, I ask you? Not as many as me. I'm an edgier boy. So from this, we can assume they're both cucks, babies, little baby boys, okay? So you'd think, okay, Dan Olson, H-Bomb, they're baby boys, they will forgive him. You know, they see the crying and their, like, maternal instinct kicks in, they'll forgive him. Nope. Not even a little bit. That's what I was worried about, by the way. You know, sometimes people, they're real soft, you know, not even close. Dan Olson, roasted him in the comments. H-Bomb, roasted him. It's out. You're done. If you're not earning this, if you're not winning the sympathy of people kinder than me, frankly, you're out of here. You know, this is something Dan Olson posted a Twitter thread on this in reference to a time where James Somerton was complaining that his channel was teetering on the brink of death and he was running out of money, but then immediately after doing that, he bought an $8,000 camera. By the way, a purchase which singly in itself exceeds the costs of my exorbitant and ludicrous fashion arc in itself, while complaining about having no money. And of course, the complaining about having no money was not this facetious offhanded thing like the way that I do, where I'm like, oh, you have to donate or I'll die, you know, like whatever bullshit like that. He was full on doing the like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to continue making content. It's cold outside, rain leaks through the roofs, I hear the wolves growling. They know soon I'll be joining them. And then, like, he buys an $8,000 camera. Again, malicious dishonesty. You can never trust people like this. Then you come out with the apology video. It's weepy bullshit. Malicious dishonesty. You can't trust people like that. Even if they seem to get better, even if they seem to improve, how do you know? They're just onto some new grift, you know? You do this for years and years and years. I like believing people can change. I believe this very fundamentally. It's very important to my belief system that people can change. But some people demonstrate that even if they can change, they're not willing to because lying will always be easier than changing, you know? And it always will be, by the way. It'll always be easier. They take that, you know, and that's the only route they offer anyone. And, you know, they act surprised when nobody actually forgives them. For me, personally, I think it's a narcissism thing. I think that James Somerton is a manipulative, abusive, narcissistic crybaby who knowingly lies to his audience and everyone, frankly, and his emotions, while potentially sincere, he employs them deliberately to try to weaponize people's guilt and sympathy, kind of like a leech or a virus. There are lots of people like this where you can never tell, are they being sincere when they a boo-hoo, crybaby, you know, drain you of your energy and attention? It's impossible to tell sometimes, but what matters is that it hurts. It hurts them, it hurts everyone around them. Sometimes you just have to distance yourself from these people. You remember JoJo Part 6, where Jolene, I think it was Jolene, and it wasn't the algae girl. No, it wasn't. It was the other girl with the titty implant. Was in the bathroom, and there was a stand user whose entire power was he would try to kill himself and make other people feel bad for him, and when they would try to intervene and stop his suicide, they would injure themselves. Hermes, that's right. Yeah. His entire stand power was like, blue, I'm such a piece of shit, I will kill myself. And then, of course, the sympathetic people intervene to stop him from doing that, and they injure themselves in the process of, and that's how he attacks people, you know? But he doesn't do it knowingly. It's an unknowing attack, which I like that a lot, because I hate people like that. I hate the blue, you know, and injure other people thing. Highway to Hell is the stand, by the way. Perfect. Phenomenal choice. Yeah, essentially what I'm saying is, let me get a good frame here that I can center on. Okay, yeah, James Somerton is this guy. If James Somerton had better hair. What is this from, a video game? Why is this like a panel? Huh. Well, whatever. Anyway, it's a wacky stand. Wacky stand ability. Really do hate people like this. Really do. Not, mind you, hatred towards people who are depressive or suicidal or down on themselves or blah. You know, get better. Treat yourself. Buy some candy. Whatever. But, you know, some people, you know, they use this quite maliciously. I guess there's just not much of a relationship between how pathetic a person is and how malicious they are. Does that make any sense? There are people who are malicious and are not pathetic. They're quite powerful. They're in control of themselves. They have a lot of resources. And then there are people who are malicious and just utterly deplorably pathetic, and they invite sympathy. And in a lot of ways, I feel like that's worse, because if you see a powerful person who's malicious, it's very easy to hate them because they have everything and they choose to be evil. Whereas a person who's very, very pathetic, you know, you look at them and you might be baited into sympathy, which can make any subsequent hurt feel quite a bit worse. You gotta watch out for people like that in your day-to-day life. Feeding into their little complex does not make them better people. Much in the same way that, you know, James Somerton would not improve if everyone was like, oh, you sweet little king, oh, you good little boy, oh no, and then like coddled him or whatever. Elon does this to an extent. He does, yes. Elon is simultaneously a very pathetic and contemptible and very powerful person, which is interesting. It gives him two avenues through which to hate him. I don't know anything about the completionist drama, so I can't really speak to that. Anyway, does everyone understand why I'm saying that what James Somerton has done means he can never produce content again in a way that is different from other positions that I hold with regards to, like, reforming content or being different or whatever? Yeah, I don't say that lightly. I mean, you know, I know it's the guy's livelihood or whatever. He could always pawn off his 8K camera. I'm sure he'd get some money back on that, few months rent at least, depending on where he lives. You know, there's always something different about a liar. Everyone lies a teensy bit sometimes because being perfectly honest all the time is functionally impossible, even if you're lying by omission. You know, we make our way through life. Communication is complicated. Some people maliciously lie, hopefully not too often. Some people do it a fucking lot. And when people do it a lot, I mean, you know, there are bad people who are sincere, and I'm in a, this is one of the reasons why I've gotten a little bit more down on like direct debates or engagements lately. It's because it feels like a lot of the people who disagree with me are totally insincere in how they disagree with me. Not all of them, but at least the content creators on the right, a lot of them just seem to be giggling psychopaths who are aware of the fact that they're lying for a paycheck, and none of them actually care. It's all just a performance, which makes it very unsatisfying for me. Very uninteresting to engage with them. They don't actually care. What's the satisfaction? There's no actual, like, stakes for them. There's no belief system on the line. Now, there are lots of people who sincerely believe those things, but they don't tend to become content creators because being a right-wing content creator kind of necessitates you be aware that you're lying. Really tough to keep that up otherwise. You know, you kind of have to know. So, or be so stupid you don't know. I was never able to find out if Sargon of Akkad knew that he was lying. I always wondered. I genuinely don't know with him. He might be stupid enough that he actually isn't aware that he's lying. Maybe he is now. For a time, I don't know. What about you, Ruben? Ruben doesn't know, because Ruben would never tell a lie.